Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is Jon and Mike's MMA Corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined once again, friend of the show, Will Martin. Will, again, I'm going to always prompt you to say, what do people do if they want to know what your picks are for the upcoming UFC events? How do they find out?
All you have to do, first of all, it's great to be back on speaking fights like we always love doing. Just go to YouTube, pop in my name, Will Martin MMA Predictions, and you will find every UFC prediction event on there, and just watch me talking fights like I love doing with many people out there.
And comment people on your picks that you think maybe are going to win, or if you think that he's right or wrong, put your constructive reasoning why. If you think he's a better fighter or a worse fighter, etc., or she, join in, follow, subscribe, get onto it, people.
That's what it's all about. It's just about talking to fellow fans. That's all I do it for, is to speak to guys. And especially this, we were just talking about the Conor McGregor people. Yeah, if you pick Conor, you're right and wrong at the same time. So, but tell me your reasons behind it, and we'll see. Just about talking fights. It's all I love doing. So.
Yeah, it's talking fights. Everyone can be wrong and everyone can be right. It's just the name of the game, people. You can't sit there and have it go. You know what? The people are the ones who bring it up and go, haha, you got it wrong. They're the ones you immediately think block, because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't get what the sport is about, and the list grows all the time. But look, well, we're going to be going to Belfast. It's going to be awesome. We're UFC travel buddies, you know. Me and Mike. Well, it's just because we've got that mutual respect of the sport, and we love talking fights, and it's going to be awesome. So the Belfast card came together, and we at first were like, it probably won't be a great card, but it's surprisingly a really good card. Some really fun matchups, really good matchups. We're going to go through the UFC 99 card and then the 100 card, because the pair of them just go one after another. Now, I'm thinking as well, I wonder if we'll get Joey Martinez in Ireland, or will we get Bruce Buffer, or, cause I prefer we didn't get Andy Freelander, if I'm honest, but that's just my opinion. But we'll see. I know it sounds, little things like that make a difference for me, because Andy Freelander, I could do without him on a microphone. So we'll go to the prelim card, and at the moment, I believe this is the way they've listed it and the way it's been put out is Brett Johns will technically be the first Welshman to step into the UFC octagon. Now, Jack Marshman was the first one signed. Brett is the first one to step in. Now, he's got himself a UFC debut against the man who's also making his debut and making a hell of a travel, but it's Kwan Ho Quack. Quack. And it is actually Quack, if you want to say it like that. And the dude is but the pair of them are awesome fighters, great talents, great records, and I love this two new additions to the bantamweight division, because for me, I've said it before, Will, the bantamweight division is coming alive. It really is. There's guys in the UFC who've been put in there. Justin Scoggins is going into the bantamweight division people as well. Don't forget, because he couldn't do the 125 cut. So you've got a lot going on, Will. This fight is a great way for these guys to make their mark in the bantamweight division. Now, what's your thoughts on this fight before I even give my pick, so to speak?
Yeah, well, so really, this came out of nowhere. We were just speaking before we came on here, and it's just like it came out of nowhere 2 weeks prior to the event being staged, and it's like I did not see that coming. When I heard about it through Twitter, I was like, another Welshman's been signed. I was like, who could be signing? Brett, because I knew that Brett had a kickboxing fight or something coming up. I thought, is it going to be him? And then it turned out it was him. So matchup wise, I think initially when the news came out who was against, I knew who Quack was, and I try and keep my eye on the Asian kind of MMA market and the fighters coming through, especially in the bantamweight division. Like you were saying, I think the bantamweight division is one of the top divisions in the sport, and there's so much young talent in it as well that for the next 5 years it's going to be solidly one of the best divisions by a long way. Quack, I mean, he beat UFC vet Altek and Oskalips last time, but the more I kind of watched into his fights before, he's still got a lot of kind of errors and problems in his game, which Brett Johns, being a kind of veteran of the MMA circuit over here in the UK, moved over to America, fought and won a Titan championship, which is no means in the slightest. So I like Brett to just use that experience, grind on him. I think that Quack's going to come forward, and as he's doing that, Jones is going to take him down. I think he's going to repeatedly do that. But Quack leaves his kind of hands in the air quite a lot. He leaves his head kind of in open space, and you can't hit this guy. But I just think that Brett's going to use the wrestling. I think he's going to grind him out. I think I can maybe see Quack getting off early, but I can see dominant 29-28 for Brett Jones, if not 30-27.
Yeah, we spoke as well about the issue with Quack's got the travel.
Yeah.
That's the big factor that people probably won't look into if they don't think about it too much about where he's coming from. That travel from basically coming from the others from Asia to the UK, it's a hell of a travel. Now, most UFC fighters on fight week get in on the Tuesday. I would not be surprised if he's maybe tried to book a day earlier to maybe come in on a Monday because of that. That's a hell of a lot of travel. Get your body right, get the times right. That's a lot to turn you from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Bang, you got to weight cut yourself in that time scale. Then you got to fight on a Friday, on a Saturday at your best. It's a bit much to ask. I think I see Brett winning as well. I do, because I think as well he's a 2-time champion as well. He won at Cage Warriors and he won at Titan, so he's been on the big stage. He's had the belts. He's had that pressure, so he'll handle this stage a lot better than maybe Quack could. I'm not saying Quack couldn't handle it, but I just think Brett's got that mentality, and also the grappling is the big factor, like we said.
I think his weight's on point as well.
Yes, because the K1 fight, yeah.
I was watching James Lynch, his interview, a guy that we both know very well is a good guy out there. They were talking about he's already getting ready for that, and that was the one thing I was worried about. But finding out he had a kickboxing thing coming up, and he sees his weight's looking really good, and it's what he usually is coming into a fight.
Yeah.
So no real worries there. So
I spoke with Brett about that, and off air as well. I'll try and remind me, and we'll talk afterwards about Brett. We'll try and I'll have a little stuff about Brett. That yes, people, I do not talk about everything on air. I'm a nice guy like that. So yeah, that fight, I'm with you. I'm with Brett as well. Okay, the next matchup, I'm quite liking this matchup. I am quite liking the way this is going to happen. Okay, so you got Miliana Duvea, against Marion Reneu. The pair of them are the top in their division.
yeah,
But this matchup is actually a really good one for the pair of them. I think the styles of the pair of them will make this a really great fight myself. That's just from the way I look at it. When I heard it go down, I got quite excited about it. I don't know who else did when they heard it, but I like it. I think Renee is who I'm probably going to push towards the Russian more. Dueva. My pronunciation in Russian is awesome, but I'm going to pick more towards. I call it Miliana. I'm going to pick more towards Miliana in this one, even though I think Renee's got the skill set. I absolutely think there's something about Miliana. I think there's a bit more in her to progress and grow as a fighter. I think there's a lot in her that's not come out yet, and I think this could be the fight we get to see it.
Yeah, could be. It's one of these fights that I was a little bit not too sure about. I haven't made my predictions video yet. I've been meaning to do it, but I've been working and different things have been cropping up. So I think it could be one of these ones. It's either going to be really close, or I could see maybe either girl really going off and putting in a really good performance. Personally, I'm going to pick Renault. I think she's got a little bit something to offer here. She's coming off 2 losses. I think the behaviour's the same. She got smashed last time by Jessica Pena, Juliana Pena, and I thought that Marion, she won that fight against Ashley Evans-Smith, kind of got screwed out of that split decision. Lost to Holly Holm, was never in that fight, and then she had a great win over Jessica Andrade in Brazil. She submitted her in Brazil, and she's probably going to face the winner of Joanna and Carolina this weekend. So I'm actually going to go for a finish. I think that Marion could steamroll her, and I'm going to pick a first round submission for Marion. I think she's going to latch onto something and get a submission. So I'm going to have a look at that for that first round finish. It doesn't really happen that often in the women's divisions, but I tried it last week with Alexa Grasso. inside the distance, she was plus 450. So to people that I do American betting terms, so it's like that was like 4-1 on those odds, and I thought it was going to get stopped at the end of round one when
she got rocked. Yeah, Heavy got rocked.
I like Renault. I think she's a little bit kind of classish, a little bit. I think the strength is kind of over with the Dudieva, and she could maybe control on the ground, but I just think she's going to latch onto something. So I'm picking a Renault submission.
Like this, and the next matchup, I love the dude. I think he's such a nice guy. Zach Cummins has got a matchup, and there's something about Zach Cummins that you just can't dislike. He's got Alexander Yakovlev. Now, for me, I think Yakovlev's going to be out of his depth in this one. Zach Cummins is, first and foremost, his grappling is really good. Like, he's got really good grappling, really good wrestling, and he's a big 170er. He ain't no small 170 dude. How he makes the weight is beyond me. It looks like he kills himself to drop down, but he's got really good lately with his hands. Like, the past few fights, it's obviously Gloria May with James Krause. I know they've worked probably a lot on his footwork, because he used to have a semi-plod kind of footwork, which was due to the wrestling and grappling, heavy low base for the, and he had that grinding effect where he clinch you and grind you down. But he seems a bit more lighter on his footwork, and his hands are a lot more fluid. Yakovlev's tough. Yakovlev can, like, didn't he go 3 rounds with Damian Maia and he didn't get submitted, I think, off the top of my head? So,
he was on his back most of that fight as well.
Which is no surprise, yeah. He's got the defense to hold off someone, but I just don't think he's got the defense transition to offense to change the fight's kind of momentum. And for me, I think Zach's grappling and clinch work will be a big factor. He can use a lot of strength to tire Yakovlev out. And again, I think Zach's striking will be what catches Yakovlev out in this one.
I think the thing with Yakovlev, he can be controlled, and he has been in the UFC. So Damian Maia can do that to anybody, so that's not really anything. But then Nico Mousasi put him against the cage and held him up the cage. And last time Kamaru Usman just took him down at will. So he can be controlled. But I thought last time I know that he lost, Zach Cummins, he lost to Ponzinibbio. Yeah. Ponzinibbio is a heavy hitter in that division, and he took his licks, but he also gave some back. Yeah. And showed that on his feet he's making progressions, but he's still got that grappling background that he can use. And I think he's going to try and mix up in the feet, but I think he's going to try and work in some takedowns. And I just see him being thoroughly dominant here. And I mean, he did that to Dalby. He took Dalby down, but he also showed nice combinations on his feet as well. And he beat Dominic Steele. And Dominic Steele, not that he's the best fighter out there, but the guy's tough. Yeah. I've seen him. The guy's crazy. I've seen him in Vegas. He's a nut job, but he's like a really nice guy. But he like starched him very, very quickly. I just think he's going to control him here, and if not get a late finish, he'll get a dominant decision easily. Yeah,
I'm with you on that 100%. Next one, we have make his UFC debut, Mark Godbeer. Okay, I had Mark Godbeer on. There's interviews on there, folks, to listen to. Fascinating story with Mark Godbeer, really. The year he's had is absolutely insane. He's taking on Justin Ledet. Now, Justin Ledet made his debut, and I tell you what, that kid impressed me when he made his UFC debut. That is some skill set with his hands. That guy has got some crisp boxing. He's big and long. Now, Mark Godbeer is a big heavyweight as well. He's actually, he's about 240 odd pounds. So he's a good size, Mark Godbeer. But Mark's big battle, and he said it himself, he knows that Justin's got good hands. So his battle is that range and closing that gap.
Yeah. No, I think what people... Early on in his career, Mark Godbeer won his fights. I think it was guillotines as well. So the guy's got that in his back pocket. I wasn't too high on Ledet when I seen him before he went to UFC. He was an amateur boxer, and I seen that he did have a bit of length, but I thought the guy who was against Chase Sherman, he was going to at least grapple with him a little bit, and Ledet gave him no opportunity to do that whatsoever, and just beat him up in the feet really, really badly. I didn't see that happening.
No, I thought Chase was going to win.
Yeah, I thought that. I think I picked Chase as well. I did pick Chase.
Yeah.
but he's obviously made a lot of improvements since his last fight, and he hasn't just got the boxing and that, but I think that Mark, if he can take this to the ground, I think he can win the fight. It's just, I'm struggling with this one to pick a little bit, because I think Mark, he's only lost to good guys. I mean, check go. So, and he's beat the guys over here. I mean, Stuart Austin, I don't think he was
he's went down to light heavyweight now, Stuart as well. Yeah.
And I think Mark, if he can get it to the ground, use his size, because I don't know what Ledette's got off his back. I think he can win rounds there, but on the feet it's sketchy, because he does use his left very well, and his boxing's very good. I think I'm going to edge actually Justin Ledette, just for the fact that he's making his UFC debut as well as Mark, and I'll kind of struggle to pick newcomers coming to UFC. I know it helps him being in Belfast. It's quite close to home. He hasn't got the travel to really worry about.
No. And he's also fought in Bellator as well, so he's been stateside, big bright lights.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he's defended his title. He's won a title over here in Bama and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to edge Ledette, but
it's tough, really, isn't it? Because you've got Godbeer's got the kickboxing as well, so he's got legit kicks, and you think, well, Ledette likes to box, and his feet are always flat, so you think that leg kicks are open with the leg kicks, get the takedown.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to just Ledette, but very close.
Raise the thing, because I think if Godbeer can do that, land those leg kicks, because a heavyweight doesn't have to land a lot of leg kicks for the leg kicks to be effective. That's a beautiful thing about a heavyweight. Like, a lot of heavyweights don't even throw good technique with their leg kicks and they're effective. Mark Godbeer's got actually good technique. He's got legit good technique with his leg kicks. So if he can land a couple of them, soften those legs to get the takedown, that'll be a Mark Godbeer win all the way. So again, it's just getting that gap, it's that range, those hands, getting past those hands. I'm gonna pick Mark I'm gonna pick him because he's got those kicks.
Yeah.
And it sounds daft. One thing, I think that's the big factor. Those kicks landing will open up that game for Mark, and I think that's the key to this. And I believe he can get the kicks in. It's just opening and throwing him up. Debut, UFC, just let it out, let it go and do it. Okay, next up we have Amanda Cooper versus Anna Elmos. Amanda Cooper, Ultimate Fighter contestant, lost in the finale. Anna Elmos stepped in short notice at 135, going down to 115. Crazy. Crazy, right? Because I know Jessica Andrade did it, and Anna Elmos has done it, and Anna even said all along, though, after the interview I had with her, she said, I had a bit of fat on. I was a bit fat, you know, I was a kind of like just shouldn't be in a 135, and she said, I got away with it outside the UFC. And that's what some fighters do. And she's accepted, you've got the nutrition, got the diet, going down to 115, and she looks phenomenal. We've spoke about this off air, let's be honest. I'm with you as well. I think Anna Elmos is going to have too much for Amanda Cooper. The travel makes a difference. Again, people don't really take that in context, don't talk about it enough. Travel's going to make a difference. I see Anna Elmos like you, mate. I think probably get the finish. I can actually see this not going 3 rounds. I think Anna Elmos will be a strong, powerful 115er because she's basically fought against 135ers. And that will transfer down.
I'm with you in that one. I just think that Amanda, it's just a tough fight for her. I just see it being a really, I think we never see the first fight that Anna had in the UFC. She really showed nothing, but she had no real right to be in there with Random E, because the Random E is a big girl. I mean, she's probably walking around at maybe 150.
More, probably more, my friend.
Yeah, maybe even more than that. So it's like, and it was hard to get anything off, especially with the Random E being in Holland as well.
The range as well was just ridiculous. Size different. They looked 2 different classes.
I just think that she looks. I've seen that picture and she looked amazing. She looked really good. The one thing that she has to do here, she just can't let her hands drop, because Amanda Cooper comes from a boxing background, and she can look very sharp. She did in the tough show. She looked very sharp in the feet. But I think if Anna can get through the first round, and Amanda struggled with her weight a little bit as well, so the weight cut might be something to look out for. she doesn't make the weight right, and she kind of works hard to try and get down there, that plays into Anna's kind of wheel a little bit. So I can see her getting into the second round and just kind of putting her will in her and maybe getting a finish. I'm going to go decision, but I think a finish is a high possibility. I think 60-70% chance that Anna can finish.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a good probability of getting a finish. I think it's a good fight. For Anna Elmo, making it 115. I can't wait to see her at 115. You know, I think it's. I'm excited to see what she can do in that one. This next fight that's got made, I look forward to it. I think it's a really good matchup. I think Kevin Lee coming into Belfast is a good thing anyway. You got to, you know, I think Kevin Lee's a legit dude. And some people don't like him, some people do. As a fighter, I think he's a good fighter. It's got a bit of a tough test. There's no denying that. You know, firstly coming across, then he's got to go and fight Mustafa. He's a legit dude as well in his own right in the 115 division. Now, I think Kevin Lee's fought the better competition in the 115 division. But then again, that being said, I think that handicap starts to come away when I think about having to travel. I know it sounds, and people don't maybe not think about it, but it can make an effect. It can make a difference. You know, it can make an effect on a fighter's weight cut with the travel because your water levels change. You know, fluctuate the travel and get your body clock right. Yeah. I hope that Kevin Lee's mindset is right. You know, I'm probably going to favour Kevin Lee in his fight. I figure because he's going to have a wrestling pedigree background anyway, probably from high school and stuff like that. So I think he'll probably handle this, keep on the feet, as long as he doesn't get too cocksure of himself, like he's learned before. Yeah. And focus, hands up, chin down. I can see Kevin Lee get the win here.
This is a really good fight. I think it's the fight that could be on a lot of on the pay-per-view cards that down in your prelim. I've met Kevin Lee. He's a really cool dude. He comes across online. Some people have told me a bit dickish. I don't think that. I met him. He's a really cool guy. I met him last summer when I was over there in the Cosmopolitan. Actually, I was going up an escalator and I wanted to get by him because I was going to the Invicta fights, and I realised who I walked by, he had a big bottle of water getting ready. He was fighting on the Wednesday night in San Diego, so and I spoke to him for a couple of minutes and got a picture with him, and a really cool guy. And when I heard he was coming over, I was genuinely happy. So, and the guy he's facing, I think this guy could be a killer in this division. I think that he has got all the skills to put himself in the top 10 of that division, and I think if he needs to fight more frequently because we haven't seen him since UFC 194, which is last December, so that's nearly a year out.
Yeah, this is why I'm favouring the fact that because he's not consistent, and that's even if you look before that as well in his record, he's not consistent all the time as well. If you look before that, he's still I don't know what it is either that's stopping him fighting, because if it's injuries, then I think more towards Kevin Lee again. Because I think how is he going to be 100% fit? Yeah. You know, that's the only reason. That's when I looked at it. That's some factors that you got to take into context. And like he is finishing people, submitting people. I agree. He is a potential killer, but I don't know what he's doing to not get consistent.
Yeah. I actually thought he fought this year, and I was thinking, no, it was Joe Proctor. He beat Joe Proctor in there was the McGregor card last year.
December's pretty close. I get mixed up sometimes. Well, yeah.
And he beat Piotr Holman fairly easily. He beat who did he beat? Abubakar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's brother, and he's a really good talent that fights at the World Series of Fight. I was at what fight was that with Kevin Lee? 197, and that was a tough fight against Escudero. He got the victory there, but then he knocked out Jake Matthews in the summer.
Which was huge.
Win over a kid there that is going to go far in that division in the sport. But where I can actually see it's either going to be, again, it's going to be close, or I can see Mustafayev catching Lee and knocking him out, because we've seen Kevin Lee, if he gets too cocky, he gets knocked out. On the same card last December, Leonardo Santos knocked that guy out, and he got a little bit too cocksure of himself, and I struggle to see where he's got the advantage in this one, because I think that Mustafayev hits harder. I think maybe Lee has the speed advantage on the feet, but I don't think he's going to take this guy down. He's got a sambo background. I just don't see. I can see this being fairly dominant for Mustafayev. I was really surprised when this fight got put together for this card, but I'm really happy that I'm going to see it with my own eyes because
it's good.
It's either going to be super competitive. I think that Mustafayev could really put his will in Kevin Lee here. I actually want Kevin Lee to win because he is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, looking at the fights, I'm going to go Mustafayev. I'm going to go a TKO victory for him there.
TKO, nice. I like this. Okay, next matchup is probably one of my more favoured fights on this card. It's sick. The fact that this one came as one of the later fights announced, I believe, when it got that, and man, I was so happy. I think you might message me about it. I was so happy about this fight getting announced. Oh my good googly moogly. Ali Bagatinov versus Koji Haraguchi. Like, oh my word. Like, that flyweight bout is obscenely delicious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, Haraguchi is potentially the future of that 125 division because he's still evolving, growing. He's at ATT as well. He's an absolute phenom. Like, I'm putting or writing off Ali Bagatinov because Ali in his own right, he earned his own title shot. Now, I don't know if he was on anything on EPO before then, but let's just say he wasn't, for argument's sake. He earned his own right to a title shot. He's a legit contender, Ali Bagatinov, but there's something about Haraguchi. He's just so wild. He's so variable. There's so much about him, you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, the loss to, obviously, Haraguchi only loses to, well, there's only one person you're going to lose to. But to be fair, anyone who's anyone. But Haraguchi, for me, well, he is the future. But he's just not the complete package yet. But I can't see him losing this fight. I just can't.
Yeah. It's like one of these things. Both these guys, they only really lose to elite fighters. And they have done it in the UFC and they beat elite fighters. I mean, Bagatinov, he beat Tim Elliott, and that's a guy who... I don't know why the UFC ever cut that guy because...
He'll be back now after the Ultimate Fighter.
We're probably going to see him very, very shortly, but his two losses are to DJ and Benavidez, and Benavidez is probably a number 2 guy.
Yeah.
No matter, straight out through that division, and he beat Tim Elliott before, and then that was a good win coming back after that suspension. He beat Gian Herrera, but I think Horiguchi is elite.
Yeah.
I think Bagatinov is close to that, but I think that Horiguchi is a legit elite fighter. He went the 5 rounds with, I know that Ali did as well, but he gave himself a good account against DJ.
Yeah.
And then I think his next fight was possibly Mr. Siri, I think.
No, Siri was the second. No, it was Siri's one. Another one. There's one before that.
There was Chico Camus. He fought in
Yes.
Japan. They fought in Japan there, and that was pretty dominant.
Yeah.
But the speed the guy has is crazy.
Yeah.
Starts to run about the third round. He did that with Siri, and Siri caught him with a couple of shots there. But that's Siri's never going to back down. He's going to come and he's going to try and take your chin off.
But that's why I think the work with ATT he's had of late. Like, I've been speaking to a couple of guys that fight ATT because I talk about Haraguchi now, and I'm like, they're like, the dude is just like a sponge. He just gets it. He gets it, and obviously the conditioning there. I'm hoping that they can get that side sorted because he's got everything you need. Like, I'm not saying I'm writing Bagatinov off, but you think Haraguchi wins, he could fight Benavidez. That'd be a sick bout. That would be absolutely awesome. I think that would really cement who's number 2. Yeah,
I think he's going to fight the winner of Benavidez or Cejudo. I think he's the next in line to fight one of those guys in there. So, I love the fact that he is an American top team. I like to see, especially people from Asia, going to a huge camp like that. And, like Johanna and Jacek just went there. There also, it's like they must be doing something, or something must be attracting them there. Plus, they've got that brand new facility.
That's what it is. A big thing is that,
everything is really kind of tailor made for you over there. And I just think that he's too fast. He's going to be too fast. He'll keep the speed through the early 2 rounds. He'll stop the takedowns of Bagatinov.
Yeah.
He'll get enough shots off, and I can see this being a decision victory, and he's going to move on to face better guys. Not that Bagatinov is a bad guy. I think if you look at the top 5, there's DJ, there's Benavidez, there's Cejudo, and I think right behind them is Horiguchi.
Horiguchi,
And then you've got maybe Bagatinov comes in number 5 there, but say this was supposed to happen in Manila, that got cancelled, and to that we got a great fight, so I'm thoroughly happy with that. But I like Horiguchi.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Next one is another Welshie signed to the UFC. Super made up for this man getting signed up. He's been a rock for the UK MMA scene for so long. When I had him on the podcast, actually, when I had Jack on, Magnus said in the blog he was fighting Jack Marshman, and Jack Marshman came on. He said the best thing he ever had in his career was losing to Tom Watson in Bama. He said, I was told before that whoever wins gets to the UFC. And he said, it was the best thing for me to lose that fight, to go on and do what I've done since then and develop and grow and, become a better fighter. Because he was only young still. He was only like early 20s then. And Tom Watson went on to the UFC. Things did not work out too well for Tom Watson in the UFC at all. He just wasn't cutting it. He just wasn't going to cut it, really. And look, Jack Marshman feels now that he's in the UFC to stay in the UFC. Now, he's got a hell of a fight against Magnus Sendenblad because Sendenblad's just a tall, long, annoying, gangly fighter who's not the best technical striker. He's also not the best technical ground technician. He's just got this weird, awkward, successful enough way of fighting where he gets away with it for the first, say, round and a half, 2 rounds to score enough points, and then the latter side of things, the third round, is when it starts to not work out too well for him, as we've seen before, Scott Askin dropping him, and this is a tough fight. I'm only edging Jack because of the boxing that Jack has and the experience that Jack has with all the fights he's had on the big stage. I think if he just keeps his calm, relaxes, and uses his boxing to just find that range, finally get Magnus and just pick Magnus off, by the third round, he can start to stretch out that gap. I'm not saying he can't finish Magnus, but if I'm Jack, I'd probably look for that to just pick him apart and slowly open that.
Yeah, I say, great to see another kind of UK, British, Irish, wherever it is, another champion in an organisation that we know fairly well. It's always good seeing Brett there, and we've seen Mark Diakese, who was phenomenal at 204. I love seeing the guys that we watch and we know more about prominently coming through.
Yeah.
The people in America, your Canadians, don't know that are coming. And this is another great addition to the middleweight division. I just think this is a really tough fight for a UFC debut because I don't think Sedenblad's great at anything, but he's just really awkward and really unorthodox, and he's hard to really get just on top of him. I mean, he's only lost in the UFCs to Francis Claremont, and he got submitted in that one, but Claremont can just lay on you and really catch something. But to be honest with you, the guys that he's beat, Askham dropped him, so he can be got at. Gut Cleland is probably not UFC quality.
No.
Jared Hammond, he was a tough guy. That was like UFC 164 or something as well, so that was a long time ago. He did beat Christoph Yotko, so he's the only loss on his record, so that's
when he ran into him, wasn't it, in Magnus Coleman, a guillotine for the takedown, if I recall.
Yeah, but I think actually he was losing that fight as well at that point, but I just think he's a little bit too awkward. But I give Jack Marshman a chance if he can tire Sedenblad out. If he can, I can see Sedenblad maybe winning rounds 1 and 2 very, very close. If Jack stays in it in the third, I think he's got a chance to find the chin of Sedenblad. Not like Jack off one bit. I just think it's a hard matchup as a UFC debut. But I'll go with Sedenblad via decision.
It's weird to say this, the main event for the preliminary card, Ian McCall against Neil Seary. I feel a bit sad saying that because Neil Seary's last bout, he said it himself, it's the last time I'm fighting, and they've not put him as a co-main event. I can understand that not putting him as the main event, that's fine, because they've got to sell this, I suppose, in the States, or having, kind of certain names on the make. But come on, why on earth? This is ridiculous. But anyway, it's happening. It doesn't matter where it's on the card. This fight's happening. I feel super happy that Ian McCall's got someone who we both know will turn up on the day. Yeah. All right, because Ian McCall's been super unlucky the past 2 fights getting called off. So I'm happy he's got the fight. He's fighting Neil Seary. Neil Seary's last fight, I can see Ian McCall winning the fight, but at the same time, I can see it being a good scrap. I just see Ian's just you know, Ian is just an all-round kind of. He's a higher level of flyweights. He's been around the top level of flyweights for so long. I can just see Ian McCall get out a decision win, similar to like when he fought Brad Pickett in Dublin, similar to that kind of thing. I just think Neil's boxing. He's going to have to probably plant his feet a little bit more and try to catch Ian with the hands. So he's going to have to just try not to be too light on his feet and try to keep his feet based heavy so that he kind of baits Ian McCall in to get the hands on him. Because if he does land the strikes, we know Neil Seary's got some good hands and he can actually rock people pretty hard. So I'm probably going to edge Ian for a decision in this one myself.
Ian just needs to fight smart. He doesn't, because everybody knows this is Seary's last fight. He wants to try and get that bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So if he wants to stand on his feet, he wants to trade.
Yeah.
And when Neil Seary came into the UFC, he faced Brad Pickett.
Yeah.
And Brad Pickett fought a very smart game plan because Seary was kind of light, not Pickett a little bit in the feet, but Pickett being smart, he took the fight and used his wrestling.
Yeah.
Ian McCall is a superior wrestler and a superior grappler in this fight here. So this is what he has to do. It doesn't matter if it looks ugly. He just needs to get a fight and he needs to get a W again.
Yeah.
And because I think by his own admission, this is his last run.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows it. Injuries are playing up. I mean, opponents are pulling out left, right, and centre on the guy.
Yeah.
Fight smart. Don't get entrenched in a brawl with Neil Seary here, and just use your wrestling. Try and stay on your feet and use those combinations to get the takedowns when Seary comes forward. That's what he needs to do. Hopefully, he does it and doesn't get put into a fight because he knows this is the last fight and whatever for Seary. Because you know what Seary's want to do. He just wants to stand and bang and take that money.
Yeah.
Fight smart. Use your takedowns. I think he wins the fight. I'm going to go. I'll say I'm 100% wanting Neil Seary to win and go out this way. But I love Ian McCall as well. Smart pick is Ian McCall here for your decision. And
kicking off the main card is an interesting character. And I think, you know, you had the same reaction to me. You kind of like, awesome.
I love Ishihara. I think he's one of the coolest dudes. And the guy, if you follow him outside the UFC, the guy is an absolute Fruit Loop. He's not walking. I don't know if you've seen the picture for Halloween. He was walking around in a mankini around about Sacramento. Uriah Faber bought it for him, so it's crazy. I'll have to find it.
Oh, is it yellow? Is it green?
I think it could be. I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, seen it. Yeah. What I like is there's an Instagram video, and he was saying that Dana White's told me I can't call them bitches anymore.
Yeah, Cody. That was in Cody Garbrandt's Instagram.
That's it.
I mean, I just really like the fight. I think it's a good fight.
Do you know what it is? And you're right, because Artem Lomov's last fight was technically he was meant to get cut from the UFC, then he got brought in because of the circumstances of the card with the Conor and Nate and the rivalry with the two camps, etc. And so he came in and he got his win. Now, it wasn't exactly a fight to remember. It was not a fight really that Artem could do much, but Artem was just smart and got the win. Now he's got to fight though here because Ishihara ain't going to step back. He ain't going to back. He's wild. But the thing is, that's the kind of fight that Artem likes. Artem likes a dude that will stand and swing because Artem likes to bang as well. So Artem has got that. He's a bit old school in the fact that he will do the rock and stock and just stand there and swing. And last man standing, like, he got rocked by Andrew Fisher, then dropped Andrew Fisher in the Cage Warriors bout, which was wild. That was a wild fight. People get on to YouTube and watch it. That was crazy. I find this a tough one to pick because Artem has got some power in those hands. He has got legit power in his hands. He's looking in awesome shape as well. You know, he started to really get the nutrition down because of all that, the dollar bills coming in the SBG side of things and get the sponsors. But Ishihari's so just random. Like, he's so unpredictable with his strike. You can't predict what he's going to do. I find it hard to write him off. This one is probably one of the tougher fights to call, but I think it's probably going to be the funnest, potentially the funnest fight on the whole card because the pair of them are just going to go at each other because Ishihari's just going to run at you and Artem ain't going to back down. I'm going to go wild. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go Ishihara with a TKO. Just a random, because I could throw a random thing that can catch Artem. I'm going to go Ishihara. Go on, wild. Go on. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's this is a fight kind of made for Lobov here. He kind of given a gimme against Chris Avila, because that guy was clearly not ready for the UFC. He wasn't even.
Was it in his last fight? He fought in Mexico.
Yeah, I don't think he. I watched his fights before he came into the UFC, and I thought, oh, he's alright, but he never looked dominant against regional fighters. That was a gimme. The one thing that he did well in that fight is that he used leg kicks very well. That's something I think he could use in Ishihara here, but he has to keep his hands up because Ishihara can crack. Everything just seems to kind of edge towards Lobov here. He's got like a drive of an hour up the road from Dublin.
Yeah.
He's been in camp with Conor McGregor, who's fighting a couple of nights for now. So he's been in a legit hard camp where, like, if you look at Ishihara over at Team Alpha Male, none of those guys have really had fights recently. So nobody's really been going hard at it in camp. So I've been kind of looking at that a little bit. I really want Ishihara to win because I think he could garner a lot of attention in that. I think he does already. He garners a lot of attention in that, especially coming from the Middle East, not the Middle East, Asia. Sorry. I don't want to pick Artem Lobov. So I don't want to. I'm not going to pick him. But I think he's got a very good chance of winning this fight.
Yeah, it is made. It is made. Yeah, it is because
not going to take him down. And
no.
He's not going to. I don't think he's going to attempt to take him down. The smart thing to be would be to take him down. So this could be just one of these fights where they're slugging for 3 rounds. And I think this fight is fight the night right over it. If both these guys fight the way they can do, I'm going to pick Ishihara for the fact I don't really want to pick Artem Lobov. Nothing against the guy. I really like Ishihara. I think everything kind of stems towards Lobov, but I'm going to pick Ishihara. This is a pure kind of heart pick for me.
But he can throw a random thing. That he throws these random strikes, and that's why I picked him, because he'll throw something random that would catch Artem out. Like Artem expects someone to stand there and just swing. And no, Ishihara's going to just go crazy and throw some wild punch, kick, flying knee thing, and that's what it is that catches you out. And that's why I went for him. The surprise fight on the main card, really. Timothy Johnson against a great signing. I'll preempt this. Top little sign here. Alexander Volkov. He was a free agent from Bellator. He was legit heavyweight anyway. I think people knew about him. I'm glad he's in the UFC. They've bolstered up the heavyweight division. You know, they got Mark Godbeer on, they got Alexander on there as well. So they got 2 new heavyweights kind of thrown around now. It's a good thing they've started to kind of bolster out that heavyweight division because it was a bit thin. We were thinking, who's the next contenders? Because all the guys in the top, like, say, 5, they're just all aging. We need some new fresh meat. You know, Ngannou is obviously a freak of nature, but, you know, it's good to have these other names in. But the matchup itself, oh, man, it's
interesting. A really good matchup.
It really is. It's not as simple as you think, is it? It's not clear cut. It really isn't when you look at it. I'm still humming and hawing. I'm gonna go with. My head's thinking Johnson, but I'm gonna go Volkov. Johnson, I think. I'm gonna go Volkov. Yeah, I'm going Volkov. I think I know, like, with Bellator, it wasn't the best heavyweights around, but at the same time, he's just a really talented guy, and I think there's a lot in him that says to me he could easily be top 5 by the end of pushing into maybe 2018. He could be top 5 contention, maybe. You know, I think he's got that potential in him. I don't think Timothy Johnson has. I think what you've got with Timothy Johnson, that's all you're going to get with him. I just see a bit more in Volkov than I do Johnson. I don't know about you, mate.
I think this is the reason that they put Volkov on the main card, is to try and get, because he was obviously the former Bellator champion, so he's got that there. So if he does win a few fights and he's champion of a previous organisation, and I mean, he lost a couple of fights before he came out of Bellator. He won his last 2 and beat Attila Vey, a beautiful knockout last time. But I like Tim Johnston in this fight. I think that the guy is really super tough. he hasn't really got he's got defense, but he throws everything there and he barrels forward with shots. And Volkov, it's your legitimate striker versus grappler here because Johnson will look to put you down. And if he gets you down, he will keep you there because he's a huge guy.
Yeah.
Look, he's only lost in the UFC is to Jared Roshold, who
is the hump master.
He does what Timothy Johnson does, but he does it just a lot better. I just think that Volkov is 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
I think he's going to try and throw high kicks, and Johnson's going to take him down off those. And I think he's going to win a couple of rounds just by grappling with him and staying on top. But it's very close.
Yeah,
because
it is.
I think if Volkov gets off to a quick start, lands some shots, and maybe has the morale there to keep it going, he could win the fight. But I'm going to go Tim Johnson via decision. Maybe
It is really. That's why I'm saying I found it so hard because the only reason I'm picking Volkov is I think because it's the heavyweight division. One shot can do it.
Yeah.
And I think, like you say, a head kick, and that could be it. A front kick, a teep, push him away, anything. So it's hard. The co-main event, it's changed. It was originally James Krause, Ross Pearson, because that was a matchup I quite liked the sound of. I quite liked the look of. It was a good matchup. I was favouring James Krause. But now, James Krause, I think he pulled his hamstring pretty bad as well. He's out. But Stevie Ray is in.
Yeah.
Now, Stevie Ray had his last fight in Brazil. Didn't go his way at all. Got humped for 3 rounds. Not in the way you want to be in Brazil, but he got humped. And it was one of them fights where you could see the kind of frustration in his eyes. And he didn't stop, but Stevie was like, this is not a fight. You could see in his face going, I'm going to lose because the guy's just lying on me. Like, the guy's not doing enough. Stevie looked fine. Stevie was like, get me on this card. He got in thankfully on short notice. I'm actually still going to pick Stevie Ray in this fight over Ross Pearson. My reason being is Ross Pearson's on not the up, he's on the down. I think the amount of fights he's had, I think he's just not evolved at all. He's the same dude that when he first started. Stand, bang, thank you, ma'am. Like, come on, man, you've got to evolve with the game. You've got to have your grappling in there. You've got to have your submission games. And Ross Pearson just wants to stand and bang with dudes. And I think, yeah, it's lovely. But, when Glasgow, if Evan Dunham just had a field day with him on the ground. And I thought, man, Ross Pearson at this stage of your career should be pretty good at grappling. Should be pretty good at defense. I would have expected him to get up at least 2 or 3 times from it, but he just couldn't do anything. I think Stevie Ray's got way more in his arsenal. And Stevie Ray being a southpaw as well. Yeah. I've got Stevie Ray on this one for me, mate.
I'm with you on that one. It's hard to pick Ross. Well, I shouldn't really say that. It's not really hard to pick against Ross Pearson, but he's showing signs of a fighter who's deteriorating. And that fight you're talking about with Glasgow there, he had one thing, he wanted to stand and bang, and Evan Dunham just take him down and just stopped altogether. If you kind of look at his record, the guy cannot string 2 wins together, and he's losing and winning fights. And he has, the last time he strung 2 wins together was like 2012. Was
that George Stropolopoulos or whatever when he fought him in that, was it?
Ryan Couture, Soteropoulos is retired. Couture, he lost, I think, last weekend in Bellator 2 weeks ago. In his last fight with George Masvidal, he was coming in there very short notice.
170.
I thought he gave himself a good account against Will Brooks. I've seen some people give him that fight. For me, I didn't give him that. He beat Charles Pries. That was a split. That was close. Trinaldo's a tough guy for anybody to fight, and then he beat Felder in a split. So, and in that fight with Masvidal, he got pieced up a little bit, and he didn't know where he was. He thought the fight was over, and it was only the end of the second round. So that's showing you a little bit of a punch-drunk fighter who's maybe on his, maybe shouldn't be kind of stepping in there. This is kind of guys here that are too kind of willing for their own good. He maybe has. Does he really need to fight anymore? He's got a really kind of beautiful-looking wife. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he could work in at the Alliance Gym in San Diego or wherever he stays. Or he's like 19-12 record. he's losing more than he's winning. I think this is a perfect fight for Stevie Ray here for the simple fact that this is the fight I think he should have been given. Going all the way to Brazil, I know it was a test, but he knew it was coming, and I think he said he knew what Patrick was going to do, and he just didn't fit, and that must hurt going the other side of the world and doing that, and then that happening to you, and not having a mark on you.
Yeah.
But I was one of the people there. As soon as I heard that Krause was out, I was a little bit devastated because Krause is a good guy and it's a good fight. Hopefully he still comes over with Zach Cummins, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think that Stevie can get this if he can get off quick and just get the upper hand on him. He'll beat Ross Pearson. So I'm going to pick him via decision, but it could be one of these fights that Ross Pearson gets like the Diego Sanchez one back.
Yeah.
He never lost that fight, but he's actually owed one.
Yeah.
So surprise me if he got this, but I think Stevie Ray's he's got enough there to beat him. I'm going to pick Stevie. Plus I'm Scottish, so I'm not picking an English guy. The Scottish. Not him. So I'm going to do it.
Can he do it? And the main event is a rematch. Uriah Hall, Gegard Mousasi, and the rematch is happening. The last time they fought, Gegard was winning. He just, you know what he did? He just stepped off the brakes a bit, let Uriah Hall have enough space for Uriah Hall to do his random stuff. And Uriah Hall landed, and he got the win. Now, that is the difference in this fight. Gegard Mousasi just needs to do what he did with Vitor, was keep it close enough to just pick at him and just find that gap and open him up. Uriah Hall is like Anthony Pettis. You give him space, he's going to throw some dangerous strikes and land them. But if you don't give him space, like Kelvin Gastelum did, he hasn't got an answer. He can't fight in that small space. He needs that distance. And Gegard is on fire. Things are ticking for him. He's just got that confidence. He's starting to have a personality because he realizes he needs it to get the title shot, and he needs the public to get on board with him as well. So he knows this. He's doing the right things. I don't see Uriah Hall getting the same result again.
I don't. I was one of the people, if you watch my video predictions, I picked Uriah last time. I just had that feeling. I had the feeling when I was watching the tape. And I think it wasn't too long after Mousasi losing to Jacare. I might have been wrong with that one. But I just had the feeling, it's the thing with Uriah Hall, you don't know when he's going to show up and when he's going to throw something out, and it could happen with this fight. But since that knockout of Gegard Mousasi, he's kind of digressed a little bit, and he was losing that fight. The one thing I'll give Hall props from that fight was that he showed, before that he never showed anything off his back, and that first round he was putting his back fairly convincingly by Mousasi, and he came out, and you just know at any time he can throw that spinning shot out and catch it, and he did it. But since then he's lost to Whittaker, and he got knocked out not too long ago, like less than 2 months ago against Derek Brunson, so maybe a little bit coming back too soon. Mousasi, I thought in Manchester, he looks like one of those fighters you wouldn't really want to fight right now, because he's got that confidence and he's patient. He's extremely patient at the minute, and he took his time with Belfort, and once he hit him with the right shot and the right flurry hit was done from there. He just needs to be. I think he was a little bit cocky in that first fight with Hall as well, thinking this was maybe a step down from Jacare. So I think that's why I went as well. A step or two down from Jacare, and he got caught. I don't see him making that same mistake again. I think he's just got to be patient, and he will find that shot, and I think he can take him out. Gets this to the ground. If he gets it to the ground enough, he's going to submit this guy. There's a finish here for Mousasi. Middle of the fight, third round for me.
I like that. I like the prediction. I'm thinking he could possibly finish it soon, if I'm honest. I would not be shocked if Gegard gets that in the first round or second round. I just think there's a confidence build, and I think that he's starting to get that belief that he can put people away. You know, I think that's something I'm looking forward to. So that's the UFC Belfast card. It's badass. But then that same night, when we leave the arena, down in Brazil, they're going to be kicking off. All the ladies are going to be shaking their hips on the beach, and they got a card on. Now, I'm not sure if Sasaki has got an opponent in. I'm not sure if it's Pereira or if he's got I'm pretty sure it's not Pereira, is it?
He's been pulled. Pereira got
He got pulled
his
for.
father pulled him, and I think that Sasaki got pulled.
Did the whole fight get pulled? Yeah, I saw that. I saw they were waiting for an opponent, and I was thinking, I don't know if he's got matched up yet. And it's a shame. It's a shame, but because he's quite a fun fighter.
Nikolai's a good guy as well.
Yeah, I like the matchup. I think the pair of them, they're good additions for the flyweight division. Hopefully they get that sorted out for him. But you've got then another Brit signed to the UFC. He's making his light heavyweight debut, and he's looking to take on Darren Stewart. Is looking to take on Francimar Barroso. Now, Darren Stewart said it. He's going to fight this one. Then he's going down to 185. And I spoke with Darren before in the past. I've joined him on his journey, and we said about this. I've talked to him about nutrition, and I've given him like Dolce diet and stuff to help him out with getting to 185. I've talked all sorts of stuff. Darren has got it's a tough bout. Going to Brazil, debut, Francimar Barroso. Now, I think I'm going to pick Darren for the simple fact that he's quicker, hell of a lot quicker than Francimar. Francimar's striking ain't that clean. Francimar's got poor conditioning. He ain't got good cardio. I just see Darren not getting caught. I think if he used that space in the octagon enough, he can just go in and out. He's got really good, and he's got good reactions, Darren. I can see Darren actually getting a finish in this one against Barroso. I really do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he has to finish because he's not going to get a. I can't not.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I think if he's not going to get a decision victory over there, there's no way. It's like Stevie Ray. You're not going to go over there and they're going to give everything to the Brazilian. But I think that he has to come out. I don't see why he doesn't just come out and throw everything in the first round because Barroso, he's got no output. He will put apart, try and put you back against the cage and pick you with shots and sneak rounds. Darren Stewart needs to be explosive. Come out there, catch him with something. I think if he gets him to the ground, he can beat the shit out of Barroso down there. I'm going to go Darren Stewart first round TKO.
Yeah.
Because he's not got a decision over there, so he has to come out quick and take this guy out.
Yeah. And Darren's got some quick hands. He's got good power on him too. Darren's got some good finishes in his career, you know. And a matchup on that card I'm quite looking forward to is Pedro Munoz and Justin Scoggins.
Great fight.
It is, isn't it? Such a good fight, man. Like for Justin Scoggins, you know, it's a good chance for him to come back, so to speak, and redeem himself. Let's say. Pedro Munoz is a badass fight to have as well, man. I think for Justin Scoggins, the problem was it's hard to find an easy fight in the 135 division. That's the issue. You know, Scoggins, you know, he was in the flyweight division, did well enough. You know, last fight was a decision win against Ray Borg. And then he's finally said, I'm a bit too big for this weight class. Dude is 5'7". He was when you watched him fight, he was a big dude. Munoz has got to figure out Scoggins' style, which is that kind of taekwondo wide stance. That's the conundrum. Can he figure that out? That's the problem for Munoz. And I think Scoggins probably will get the win because he's not killing himself to make weight. I know he's got to travel down there, but I just think Scoggins' style, I think he's going to be a really good addition to this bantamweight division. I just think he's going to have a little bit too much for Munoz, but then again, Munoz he's a good dude in his own right. You know, he's got some good submission wins in the UFC. I'm just picking Scoggins in this one.
I'm struggling with this one, I must admit. We were talking about before that bantamweight's one of the best divisions in there, and then you're getting people like Scoggins who, I think, you got to remember this guy came into the UFC, I think he was 19, so he was still growing up, and then I think he was supposed to fight Ian McCall. Yeah. Couldn't cut the weight anymore, and that's when he had to make that permanent move up to 135. So, but the one thing that if this match had kind of happened 6 months ago when he didn't face Ray Borg, if he faced Ray Borg is known for his submissions and his scrambling, and Justin Scoggins controlled Ray Borg on the ground and did enough to win that fight on the ground. So Munoz is very dangerous. He'll jump on guillotines, he'll on your back like he did against Russell Doan. I think on the feet, Scoggins is just ahead, but I think that Munoz has got enough on his feet as well to to really trouble Scoggins, but I'm struggling with this one. Originally I went with Scoggins, but something's pushing me towards Munoz, but I'm going to stick with my original gut feel. I'm going to go Justin Scoggins via 29-28 in Brazil. Who knows, but I'm going to pick him.
Yeah, I get it. I'm picking him to put it on his style. I think it's going to be quite tough for Munoz to figure out to close that gap and distance. The next bout is Luis Enrique, his heavyweight division against Christian Colombo. Now, Luis Enrique, his debut was tough. It was a hell of a scrap, and he got put to sleep. But then again, he came back and won. So, you know, he's turned himself around. It's actually not a bad fight. I think he's got a good potential, this kid, as well, Luis Enrique. He's not bad. He's a good scrapper. His opponent, though, Colombo, if you look at who he's fought, they're not the strongest opponents. I'm not saying it's a padded record, but all I'm saying is I think Luis Enrique's had a bit of a tougher experience in the heavyweight division than Colombo has. I think this is not going to fare too well for Colombo when you're going to fight someone who's had, you know, better opposition, basically. I really see Luis Enrique just going... He's quite quick with his hands as well. I can see him putting Colombo to sleep in the first in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we should spend too much time talking about this, because this is a terrible fight. Terrible. Colombo shouldn't be in the UFC, period. Enrique, this is a fight made for him. He's bringing the guy in to Brazil for this guy to win. And that fight was it Jorge Stanho? Colombo was one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life.
That was awful. The pair of them just gas. Oh,
terrible. This fight has been made for this guy to get a win in his home country and build him from there. I like a first round knockout. I know that he is tough, but I think Enrique's gonna just beat him up and get a first round knockout.
Next matchup, two really experienced fighters in the UFC. In general, actually, Johnny Eduardo and Manny Gamburian. They're pairing them together quite experienced fighters. Johnny Eduardo lost to Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling got that really vicious guillotine on him where he stood over him. And Manny Gamburian, the dude has been around. I think he's nearly 10 years in the UFC.
Yeah.
Nearly 10 years. The problem for Manny is injuries. Just can't stay fit for long enough to put a run in, to get consistency, to get contendership. And as well, you got to think he's been in the UFC for 10 years. Time catches up with you. He's not always been a bantamweight either. You know, he's had to work his way down the weight classes. It's a hard one to pick, but I'd probably go with Johnny Eduardo just for the fact that, you know, the regularity of fighting. I think Johnny Eduardo is probably just an all-round better fighter than Manny, if I'm honest. And you never know what Manny's going to turn up with his physique and the conditioning. And he was losing his last fight until he got the submission in against. Oh, who was the kid? It was Case, Johnny Case, something like that. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Manny Gamburian was losing his last match until he pulled out the hat. I probably got Johnny Eduardo on this one.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Cody Gibson.
Cody Gibson, sorry.
Yeah. Since then, that was a wee while ago. Because remember, John Dodson blitzed him.
Yes, sorry.
But these are two guys clearly on the last legs.
Yeah.
I think either guy loses here, I think we could see them easily retire. I think it's probably that time for. I mean, Eduardo. I know Sterling is one of my favourite guys in the sport, but he showed nothing in that fight. And on the feet, I thought he might have had some chances against Sterling, but Sterling gave him nothing. And once he got an opportunity to get on that neck, he got it really, really good. Eduardo just doesn't fight. This is his fourth fight in nearly 5 years. So the guy doesn't fight. And he hasn't fought since December again. But I think that Gamburian is shot. I mean, John Dodson went through him easily. Going down to Brazil, everything favours Johnny Eduardo here. I think he's the more crisper striker. If he gets to the ground, Manny, I think he could maybe control Eduardo. I just don't see that happening. I think that if Johnny can get off the combinations quick and early and be very, very crisp with him, he could stop Manny here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go I'm going to go actually a third round TKO. I think the accumulation of shots is going to catch up,
Yeah.
and Manny's just going to look for a way out, and the fight will get stopped. So I'm going to go Eduardo TKO.
Nice. Okay, next matchup. Oh gosh, it's gonna be fun to spit this one out. Okay. Antigulov against Lima. Okay, now I could sit there and spit this out, but I'm not, because unless I've had about 10 whiskeys, I'm not going to say these names right. But again, it's the UFC. They're invested in those kind of new names, new guys around the world, weight classes and stuff like that. They're trying to bolster up some weight classes. I'm all for it, to be fair, because you know what, you get new names in. If they don't cut it, they can always cut them. You know, it's not the end of the world. So look, this fight itself, it's going to be interesting because the light heavyweight division is one of them ones. It's another one kind of like the heavyweight division where fresh blood is kind of needed, because you seem to think that, again, the top five is just the same names for the past few years, and you think, I'd like to see at least some new blood coming up. So now, for one opponent, he's making his debut. For the other man in Lima, he's already been in here before, so he's already got that experience. I think that's probably what, for me, is going to favour him, because he's got a couple of wins. I think he was he in the Ultimate Fighter, or was he Ultimate? He was in the Ultimate Fighter, wasn't he? Off top. Oh, gosh,
The heavyweight one.
The heavyweight, there you go. Bloody heck. You know, I would probably favour him in this, just because of experience in the UFC makes a big difference. You know, and the quality of fighters, again, it's another factor. Being a homeboy, it all adds up. I probably will favour him in this one, especially because, like I say, being in the heavyweight division means he ain't a small light heavyweight. It's cutting down, so yeah, I can't look past Lima in this one. I don't know about yourself.
I'm going to have to go with Lima as well. I think Antigulov is that guy's fucking first name. Jeez, so the God. I'm going to attempt it. Godbeer, I think it is. That's some first name.
That's why I left him.
Terrible. And he's decent. I think a nice addition. The light heavyweight division needs fighters.
Yeah.
So you have to get these guys in. I think he's got like an 18-4 record. So
yeah, like 12 wins in a row, something like that. Yeah.
He's got wins put together. He'll have confidence. But De Lima, I think he showed some. Like he's changing up his game a little bit. He won his last fight via submission. He's got knockout power for days, and I think he's going to. Antigulov is going to want to come in, put him against the cage, try and take him down. I think he's just going to eat a shot as he comes in, and Lima's going to win this one. Knockout. I like him for a knockout.
I like it. Yeah, me too. I think a knockout as well. So Jack Hermanson, again, you would have thought maybe putting a Belfast card. No, let's throw him down to Brazil. From down to Brazil against Cesar Ferreira. Now, Cesar Ferreira, for me, like, do you remember when everyone was talking about him being the new Vitor Belfort?
Yeah.
Big hype. Man, he ain't had a lot of luck. He just doesn't like getting punched in the face. Like, he ain't got a good chin. Jack Hermanson, for me, he just needs to just go for that chin. Like, don't be patient. Don't worry. Don't take your time. You go for Cesar Ferreira's chin, and that guy ain't going to handle it very well, you know? And I think Cesar Ferreira tried to go down to 170 as well. Did he go down to 170? Obviously, you know, it's a bit of a cut. Yeah, a bit of a cut for him. He's obviously just thinking, I'm not doing that again. But, yeah, like Jack Hermanson came in, made his debut, got a decision win against Scott Askham. Wasn't the best fight. It was a good fight. It wasn't the best fight. It was not something you're going to remember for a lifetime. But he got the win under his belt. Keeps that momentum going. Keeps that confidence going. I think he can probably open up a little bit more in this bout. He could probably be a bit more fluid, a bit more the style we saw in Cage Warriors with his hands. I'm going to pick Jack Hermanson because I just think Ferreira's just not got the best chin. I just think the hype train's a bit overhyped for him, and it's finally, hopefully, people realise totally derailed, like Eric Silva.
No, see, this was a weird one I heard, because I heard that Hermanson had a fight. I thought, Belfast, he's going to go in Belfast. And and then I heard he was going to Brazil, and then I found out they were doing 2 events in the one day, so I was like, shit. But this a good fight. This will be a showcase fight for him, because I think although Ferreira is fighting out of Brazil, he's trying to become a point fighter, but I think he's against a guy who is an even better point fighter than what he is. And Jack will stay busy. He will, I think, like you say, he needs to open up. He can finish this guy, and he can finish him early if he lets it go and has the confidence to let it go. So, this is the fight. I think that Jack Marshman should have maybe fought someone like Cesar Ferreira. I think Jack Hermanson should have faced Marcus Sernblad, and they should have been maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
If you're going to fly Aaron Stewart out, you might as well fly Jack Marshman out there as well. So, I like him. I think I've got a funny feeling that Jack's just not going to want to engage here and just like point fight him, and that's dangerous going to another country doing that. But I think he's going to use it to get takedowns and put him against the cage and just kind of outpoint them in every kind of facet of the game. So I like Hermanson via decision, but just hopefully he goes for it, because I think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, I am with you on that one. I think he needs to do that too. Next up, now Zach Otto has stepped up in short notice to fight Sergio Moraes. Kudos to Zach Otto. Sergio Moraes he's a difficult guy to fight. You know, he's not like, again, we talk about awkward fighters. He is exactly what that is. He is an awkward fighter and an awkward dude to fight. You know, he's not getting smashed by guys, but like he'll lose like decisions. But then he's finished. He can finish dudes. He can get a decision. He can get a submission. You know, he's like one of the guys that beat Neil Magny. You know, I know it was a while back, but at the same time, he's one of the guys that beat Neil Magny. I know probably Neil was still early in Neil's career, but to be fair, he's just a good vet. He's just a good vet in the sport. Zach Otter, he's got a good chance stepping up short notice. You know, just nothing. I always think you've got nothing to lose if you're stepping in short notice on a fight, and I think you kind of feel like you're doing the UFC a favour. And I think the UFC kind of, you know, pat you on the back, and if you lose, don't take it too much. Zach Otter, he's a good fighter. I like him. He's a legit dude. I just think going away and coming to Brazil, Sergio Moraes kind of feeds off that energy of the fans. And like, to be fair, Otto stepped in and beat Josh Berkman. Great, legit fight to win. Like, kudos, that's a good name in your hat. Biggest name he's ever won against. But I can see Moraes winning this one, just pure experience and knowledge, and he's very good at keeping a distance between fighters and fighting at his pace and picking and deciding when to decide when the fight's engaging. I'd probably just pick Sergio for that reason.
Yeah, I see. The thing is with Moraes, he hasn't lost a fight since Ferreira beat him in the final. That was years ago. UFC 147 or something.
Long ass time.
Yeah, and I mean, what kind of frustrates me with Moraes is I think he can finish fights, and if he does more, he will put his output out there. He'll put his will on people, and he can finish fights. He's did that at Henny Force. He's beat him. Magny, like you said, Lebu, he dominated him. Akhmedov, he was losing that fight, and he pulled one out of his arse there to really get a win. And the Chagas fight, he probably should have lost that one. So I think against a guy like Otto, who's coming off a win, I did not see that guy, because I watched the tape before he came into the UFC, and I was like, ooh, this guy's getting an opportunity in the UFC. I was like, that's pretty low, but he showed that he's made progress from his last fight to facing a legit veteran in Buckman. So I just like Moraes here in Brazil. I think if he goes for it, he finishes this guy, gets him to the ground, he finishes this guy pretty convincingly. So I'm going to go with Moraes via submission.
Nice, I like it. Okay, cool. Next battle is it's a fun one, because you've got two guys who are very different. Wally Alvarez, who's getting a bit of a hype behind him, against Kamaru Usman, who is a decision man. Usman's a decision man. Usman needs to actually get a finish for people to really probably recognise him and acknowledge him as a potential guy and a candidate. Alvarez, that dude is fun to watch. Like, anyone tells me Wally Alvarez fighting, I'm down. I'm in. Sign me up. That dude is fun ass dude to watch. I'm going to pick Wally Alvarez in this because Usman's good wrestling. He's still developing his striking it. I've just got Alvarez because he's just got good power, man. That dude could crack.
Yeah. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go Usman.
Nice.
I think that he's just in his last fight against the thing is with Alves. We'll start with Alves. He's got that explosiveness in the first few rounds.
Yeah.
First round, and like he lost to Brian Barberena last night, who was a huge underdog in that fight.
But that's what he is.
If you're tough and you can stick it out, Alves is going to gas, and once you gas, you're open, you're more susceptible to punches. But if your back's against the cage, you're going to get taken down. Now I know that Alves is he can jump on stuff really quickly. So if Usman's going to come in for those takedowns, he can't leave his neck there because he's going to put his sleep. I just think that Usman's going to use his strength. He's going to put him against the cage, maybe just literally lay on him, and hopefully get enough takedowns where he can win rounds. But it's hard. I mean, go down to Brazil and winning rounds is.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous game to play, isn't it? That's what I mean. In a way, it's like a smart move by the UFC to put this fight on because they almost say to him, well, you can't keep going for decisions because you go to Brazil. They might not want to give it to you. So you got to kind of go out there and it's almost like they're playing his hand to fight, to get the win, to fight, look for that finish. Yeah, because that's why I think the danger is for Usman. If he tries to go for the decision, he might have to not go for that and abandon that, and that's what opens up the chance for Alves to get the strikes in. Next up is an interesting matchup. Huge opportunity for Jotko to take on Talis Later's biggest fight of his career. To be fair, Jotko's 18-1. Like, that's a pretty good record in my eyes. But the kid kind of going under the radar still, if I'm honest. He finally got a finish against Tandem McCory. That was the big thing for him, that he needed to get a finish. McCory got cut after, I think got cut after that knockout. But even still, I don't know, did he get cut after the Nate Marquardt fight? Marquardt fight, yeah, so we got two in a row. But Talis Later's, like I said before, I think Talis Later's will just do what Talis Later's does against guys of this level for him, where he will just actually Later's striking is not too bad now these days, but he can use the striking to get the gap closed, to get the clinch in, to get on top, to just wear him down, and I pretty much see Later's will probably get a submission with this because I don't think Jotko's jiu-jitsu is the level of Later's.
Yeah, you could be right. I've not been 100% sure on Jotko for the last 4 or 5 fights. Well, maybe not, it's wrong. Maybe since the Askham fight, I've just never been. He's just one of those quiet guys that you don't. When I'm looking at cards and I'm looking, this fight card's coming, I always forget about Jotko.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. I'm like, and then you see him there, you're like, oh shit, this guy's pretty solid. He's very well rounded. And it's like he lost to Seidenblad. He was winning that fight. That's his only loss. He faced Troing. He was already in his way out. Ask him, but he's moved up every time. Ask him to Brad Scott, to McCrory, and now he's got a legit step up against a former title contender, a top 10 guy in his home country. And we're going to see what the guy's made of here, because if this guy wins this fight, he's put himself in a really good position in that top 10.
Yeah.
In that position. And what's Talis Later's really, really fighting for now? Is he probably not going to get another crack at a title or even a top guy in that division? No. It's hard. I'm going to pick Jotko, but I'm a little bit 50-50 in this one, just in fact it's in Brazil. Later is a legit good guy in that division. A big guy. I think he was in Manchester as well, wasn't he? He's a big dude.
He was in Manchester 204, yeah. Then he fought in Manchester 3 years. Oh no, it was Glasgow when he fought in Glasgow against Bisping. Standing next to him, I was like, dude's a big 185, eh?
A big unit. But I'm gonna pick Jotko. I'm gonna pick a decision, but I say picking decision in Brazil. It's been happening more recently that guys are going down there and getting decision victories. So I'm gonna pick Jotko. And plus, this guy has been an underdog in pretty much every fight, so he cashes money for people. So I'm gonna go Yotko, and hopefully that trend continues because I've been missing out on betting on him, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Next up is a surprise fight for me. I won't lie. I did not expect this matchup. Courtney Casey against Claudia Cadella. I didn't expect that at all. Claudia Cadella has moved to Winklejohn, and Jackson's in Winklejohn, which, man, that just changes everything. Like, straight away, I just look way past Courtney Casey. Like, I kind of had Claudia Cadella already in this fight, but I just think with what she'll probably be doing with them lot there, it's just going to take it to another level. And it's what she needed to do. She needed to leave Novunyao and go to there, because there is just a smarter way of fighting, a smarter way of training. They've got the talent there as well. I like Courtney Casey. She's a great kid. Like we said, stepped in short notice against Joe Calderwood, was game, rocked Joe Calderwood, could have maybe finished her. You know, it was, girl's legit. I just feel like Claudia is an absolute monster. She's like the Junior Dos Santos of the heavyweight division, where she's just second place and she's legit almost. She's kind of, it's hard to beat and look past her. I've got Claudia in this one all day.
This is one of these fights that for both fighters it's kind of like a trap fight for Claudia Gadelia, because she had 5 more minutes of cardio. She was probably beating Ioana and Jacek, because she clearly won the first 2 rounds there, and then she started to fade. And when she started to fade, Joanna just became that bad bitch that we know she can be. And she came out there and she just beat on her. Yeah. And I was really surprised when I heard that Gadelia had moved, but I was really happy that I think that's what she needed to get away. If she's had 2 attempts at Joanna, I know she never had the title before, but she's going to have to do so much to get back in. She's going to have to really rely on Joanna losing that title before getting another title shot. So this is where she's in that predicament here of where she's looking to go. And I think she's got a really tough opponent here in Casey, who's, ever since that fight with Jojo, she faced Siho Ham, fight the night there, and then since then I think she's won twice, and she's looked dominant, and she looked very dominant against Randa Marcos. Went down there, used her jiu-jitsu, and won that fight there. I'm going to go Courtney Casey. I'm going to go against you. Okay. And she's going down to Brazil. I'm going on the fact that what's Claudia Gadelia fighting for? What changes has she made? I just think Casey is a big, big girl for that division, and if Gadelia kind of gasses or starts to, and Casey's still there, she could start hitting upon Gadelia and really hurting her. But if Gadelia can get to the ground, I think she can ride out a decision. I'm going to go the underdog. I'm going to pick Casey. Nice. And see if we can get another underdog to come through, but it's a tough fight for Casey down there. But it'd be nice to see Gadelia back in the win column as well, because she's a legit girl in that 150 division. I'm
going to see if it's at sea level or not. Might change my picks. Okay, co-main event. Thomas Almeida is back. Thomas Almeida is back after he lost to that bum. What's his name? No, so after he lost to Cody Garbrandt, legit lost to him. But the thing is, though, if you've won 20 in a row, you can't lose a hell of a lot of confidence, because you must be like, dude, I'm still badass. Hell of a fight for Albert Morales. Hello, son. Woo! Man, that's one step up that. I don't care even though Almeida got starched. It doesn't matter. Like, what a hell of a step up that is. Like, can you even look at Albert? Can you even look past Thomas on this one? I just can't.
I mean, Morales is a really tough kid, and a kid I like watching fight. But this is a matchup made for Thomas Almeida to get back in the win column, because that loss to Cody back in May was devastating. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge Cody guy, but I picked against Cody in that fight, and I was kicking myself because I had the feeling all week that he's going to do it, and people were underestimating Cody Garbrandt and saying for this, and he got knocked out in the amateurs and said he's going to get knocked out, and he went out there and he starched Thomas Almeida. Yeah. And so pissed with myself because I picked against a guy I legit believe can beat Dominic Cruz in next month and go on and win that title. But Almeida is, people were shooting this guy down. Oh, he's 23-0, he's beat nobody, which is complete bullshit because he came through, went, I think it was Legacy, then he had that fight with Brad Pickett where he was down a couple of times and he still with a dramatic knockout.
Showed good heart, yeah.
This fight is tailor-made for Thomas Almeida because Albert Morales is going to come forward, and if you haven't got the hand speed and just the kind of accuracy and maybe the athleticism what Cody Garbrandt has, you're not going to touch this guy, and this guy is going to unload on you and knock you out.
Yeah.
Morales is good. This is a step up. That's a second fight in the UFC if I've ever seen one. Anything has tailor-made fight for Thomas Almeida. I think he can knock him out in the first round here.
I would have liked to have seen Almeida versus Caraway, but well. Yeah. Main event, it's the retirement fight for Little Nog. If anyone thinks any different, they need their head tested. They already fought before, and Bader got the nod, I think, in a decision. And since then, Bader's looked pretty good and developed and evolved and grown and all round just being a better fighter. Little Nog got sent to Mars and back by Anthony Johnson. You know, it's just one of them ones where I think he's knocking 39, 40 years old. His body's wrecked. There's no way this man... there's no... Mate, I can't even think that he's going to get through the first round. I think Bader's hands are getting to the point where he's pretty good with his hands now. I think Bader can knock Little Nog out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think this is... I mean, they fought UFC 119, so that was like 5 years ago. And since then, Ryan Bader's not stayed the same fighter. He's only made improvements as a fighter, and he's fought the better fighters as well. Then, so, I mean, he's only lost in his last like 7 or 8 fights is to Rumble, where he just did not want to be in there with Rumble. I don't think any guy wants to really be in there.
Not even Glover Teixeira wanted to be in the Rumble. Did you hear what he said? Glover even said he hits too hard.
Yeah. So it's... I mean, he beat Rashad, legit guy, he's a former champion, but he's on his way out. Yeah. Phil David, that's a good win because he just won the Bellator strap. OSP's always a tough guy. Deja was just on his way out then, but he's made improvements in his striking. It looks very good. I mean, Ilir Latifi, he knocked him out with a knee.
And that was one of the most violent... Oh!
It was devastating. Latifi fell straight into that one. I just don't see how this fight changes from 5 years ago. I just don't see it in the slightest. So this is probably going to be the last time we see Little Nog. And fair play to the guy. He had some decent wins back in Pride, and he threw last time against Patrick Cummins as an underdog. He's got some boxing. But I just think overall, you've got to remember this is 5 rounds. I can't believe he was scheduled to face Alexander Gustafsson as well.
Yeah.
Gustafsson, literally mauled the guy. But we'll have to go with Ryan Bader here. I think he's going to... does he knock him out? I think he might do. He might get some ground and pound.
I think he does.
Stop him. So I'm going to go a third round TKO victory for Ryan Bader.
I'm with you. I think Bader. I think they put him as the main event, and because they think they know it's probably his last one, it's give him a hurrah and a way to bow out. And fair enough. Kudos to him. He's put the years of effort in. He's him and his brother have done a lot for the sport. I'm all for it, but he's going to get smashed, sadly, Brazil. Sorry, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our picks, our reviews of these 2 fight night cards in one night. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be away for the weekend. Like Will said, we're going to be there Wednesday to Sunday. It's going to be badass. If you see us, talk to us, say hi to us. We're more than happy to talk fights. It's going to be awesome. Will, as always, it is fantastic talking with you, buddy, and it's great to catch up with you as always, my friend. I can't wait for our week of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's only a couple of short days away. Get 205 out the way, and then once that kind of boils down on the Sunday and kind of got my bearings back again, we'll get ready for Belfast and on Wednesday. And it'll be a great week. We've got some good guest fighters over there, and we'll see some people that we know through Twitter or whatever. And I know there's going to be some guys there, and so we'll be looking forward to that. So we'll get this weekend out of the way, and then we'll get Belfast next week.
Defo.